Good evening, everyone.
Hello, Madam Chairman.
And welcome to the April meeting of Wedmore Parish Council. That's the last time that we're all sitting around this table together. So, to begin the meeting, I must remind everyone in attendance and who will be participating in this meeting that following government legislation, the meeting may be filmed, recorded, photographed or otherwise recorded, and as before, this meeting is being filmed and recorded by a parishioner. So, I think everybody is happy with that. Yes. Okay, so a couple of things to note before we start. 15.4.5, matters arising. I'm going to ask our clerk to give a brief resume of the meeting that he and Councillor Avery attended on the neighbourhood plans. Councillor Avery is unable to attend this evening, so he can't do the feedback himself, but he's produced a sheet of notes for Council's information, and to go along with this, Rod's going to just give a brief resume. But obviously it's something to be discussed after the May elections, not tonight, so it's just for information only. And 15.4.11, to consider tenders for the resurfacing of the allotment car park. Because we're talking about people and money, contracts, tenders, this is going to be a confidential item. So I'm actually going to move it further towards the end and put it after 15.4.13, if everybody is happy with this, because it is confidential. And it has been advertised on the notice boards as being a confidential item. And for information, the agendas have been put on the notice boards for a week, but Rod took them down this morning when he went round putting up the planning applications and the meeting for that next week, but they have been advertised for a week, this agenda. And also in the Isle of Wedmore News, in the What's On page, it was inadvertently, obviously by the Isle of Wedmore News Committee, put in as being the meeting is going to be next week. So I have got the date wrong on that, but not our fault. I think that was down to the Isle of Wedmore News. So my apologies on behalf of the Isle of Wedmore News as well. Okay. Right. So I think we can get on with number 1, to receive any apologies for absence.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Councillor Nick Avery is away. David Huxtable's not with us tonight, and I've had a phone call just now from Diana Bayliss, who was coming. She got a sick horse and waiting for the vet to turn up. But she did say a very special thank you to everybody for their hospitality, etc. at the dinner. And she wanted to make the point that she was very, very proud to serve this parish for the last 16 years. And she sent her best wishes to everybody. So I will pass that on. That's all the apologies.
Okay, item 2, reports from county and district councillors. So we only have Richard with us.
Well, I've got very little to say because we're all in what they call Clerk at the moment, so nothing much has happened. The volume of emails has gone down drastically, which is absolutely wonderful. So there's really nothing much to report. Sorry.
Okay, well this will be your last meeting, Richard. You will no longer be a parish councillor or district councillor, but thank you on behalf of everybody for all that you've done on behalf of the council and the village. I mean, a tremendous amount of work that you've put into the council, and thank you very, very much indeed. You are going to be greatly missed. I know.
Here.
Right, item 3, to record any declarations of interest. Okay, item 4, the minutes of the meeting held on the 18th of March.
They have been sent round by email, Madam Chairman, and hard copies of those who haven't got emails. I haven't heard any comments at all about them.
Are you happy that I signed these minutes?
Yes.
The last time.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. matters arising.
Would you like to mention the seminar we got? This matter that was having?
Yeah, is there anything else on the matters arising? Nothing to report at the moment. Okay, right, over to Rod.
This is about 3 weeks ago. Nick Avery and I went over to Compton Dunn for this seminar, a 4-hour session, which was hosted by SALC, but was run by the Community Council for Somerset, CCS. Very interesting. There were 4 or 5 guest speakers there, talking about neighbourhood plans and community plans, and the difference between them, and whether they were fit for you or whether it's appropriate for your particular parish. As I say, they're all very interesting. And Nick took some copious notes. He's prepared a very good paper, which I've left for everybody. If anybody else wants one after, so I'll print one off and take it away. But the thing is, the neighbourhood plan, of course, is a statutory document, and planners have to take notice of it, whereas they don't have to with a community plan or parish plan. There is money to be had from the community infrastructure levy, 25% available for the neighbourhood plan, 15% for a parish plan. But it did seem that it's going to be quite a lengthy operation if you decide to go down this road. It could take 18 months or 2 years to set that up. It's a lot of work for the committee. It doesn't have to be started off by the parish council. It does need full support of the parish council throughout the whole process, and also the district council, etc. So it's quite a lengthy operation, not a quick fix job at all. And it's something perhaps, Madam Chairman, which we'll have to discuss after the elections. We'll see then whether it's worth going forward or we want to do it. Some people down there said that if you had a village plan already, you didn't need a neighbourhood plan. That was a message which came across from 1 or 2 of the speakers. And there were a couple of people there who specialise in doing the paperwork and the consultation behind this, and they were saying it's quite an expensive operation. It can be quite a dear option. So it's something that needs careful thought before running down that road, I think. But I say it's a very good paper by Nick Avery, and you're welcome to read that and take it away with you. And I'll do some more later if anybody wants one.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure whoever's on the council after May 7th will no doubt be looking into this and seeing if they want to take it further. But thank you. Thank you, Rod, for attending. Right. Yeah, the only other thing is, did you get, under matters arising, the amended standing orders? Are they on the website yet?
They're not on the website yet, just pressure work and play. They have been amended. They have been reviewed and amended, and they're on the computer, but I haven't on the website. I'll try and get them tomorrow, but we've got the budgets coming up. The council will go into the orders. It's been a bit of a manic time with the election as well. It's quite a lot going on, and a very heavy planning meeting next week. We've got to get through. But I'll try and get them on the website this week.
Yeah, if we make sure that they are in as soon as possible. Thank you. Right. Anything else under matters arising? Moving on to financial matters.
I've had the audits back from William Healy, and they are correct. The books balance. If I could ask 2 people to sign the cheque, please. Richard, will it go? There's not very many tonight. You going to do it, Clerk? Yeah, speak up.
Right, so number 7 is to consider a request from Somerset Local Authority's Civil Contingencies Unit to set up a volunteer system within the parish.
Just very briefly, Madam Chairman, how this letter came through last week. You'll remember we talked about the flood wardens and things a while ago now, but this is something else very similar along those lines, where they're looking at three or four trusted people, members of the community, to act as sort of go-between between the local authorities to spread news about potential flooding, major disasters, major incidents, that sort of thing. So they're looking at 2 or 3 volunteers to take on this role of a civil contingency unit spread throughout the county. What I've done is I put a copy through to the other Wedmore News and asked them to put it in their next issue and asking for volunteers that way. I don't think there's very much we ought to do at the moment as a council. Just see what comes back from that. If it does need more advertising, maybe we'll have to consider that after the election.
You don't think it's something that should be sort of led by the parish council?
Well, they have to liaise with the parish council, but they're not looking for the parish council leader. It's something we certainly ought to get involved in at some stage.
I believe in the past there was some sort of
Yeah.
outline plan for emergencies
Yeah.
for Wedmore. It was something that I talked about when I came onto the council first.
Yeah.
So it's probably something
Never
that
got off the ground then, perhaps.
that's something that needs to be looked
Yeah,
at maybe by the next council. Okay, but we'll see what we get in the way of volunteers from the Island Wedmore News. Thank you. Alright, number 8, to receive a presentation by Mr. Pete Brown on the proposed pavilion clubhouse at the sports ground at Blackford Road.
Good evening, Madam Chairman and Councillors. Thank you for entertaining me once again. Ben Lucas from B2's with me as well. He's been working on the drawings, so he ought to take fair recognition for some of his effort in producing these images. So I will. I've done 3 copies this time. We pushed the button. So these are some various perspective drawings showing you the building and its position on the side. Close up, so there's lots.
Wasn't on me.
Building.
Take it the side of the school
And then there's floor plans. Sorry, we repaper your whole table.
You've got aliens as well.
I wouldn't want to be accused of not giving you sufficient information on which to base any decision on what's next. Okay, I think that'll probably do. These are just copies of the same. When I last spoke to you about the new pavilion building, it was really just the first stage of a short period of public consultation. And we were very grateful of some assistance from Charlotte at Cheddar Valley, who gave us a fantastic spread in the Cheddar Valley Gazette of the proposed plans, which were a bit more outlined at that point. And we've also had a permanent display of drawings in the windows of the existing clubhouse, which has attracted a lot of comment from passing parents going to school and people using the playing fields. We've taken on board a number of their comments. I have to say, without exception, there's been no negative feedback from that period of consultation, so which is good. A lot of people are generally excited about the prospect of a more usable building. There are obviously a few sceptics who think it may never happen, but everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But there were a few really quite reasonable ideas put forward, which we've tried to incorporate. Trevor Freddo, who's probably known to most of you, and 2 or 3 others independent of Trevor, came forward with the suggestion of putting some, or trying to accommodate some skittle alleys into the building, because all the local pubs seem to be taking all of those out of commission. And our local skittle teams are having to play further and further away. The building, as I say in my first presentation, isn't trying to be a pub. And if it could open one night a week with 2 skittle teams playing there, then it's a bit of extra bar revenue for the social club, and it's a more local base for a couple of local skittle teams. And those have actually quite easily been accommodated on the first floor. And so that was a very sensible suggestion. Also, I've had a number of people suggesting that there be some sort of permanent coffee shop type cafe on the ground floor, operating out of the kitchen and the club room. And I think we're going to explore further opportunities with that. It seems an ideal chance for someone like, I think this will be open for discussion, someone like the Friends of Wedmore First School or the play group or even the play area or someone like that to run the coffee shop, so that any revenue generated from that goes back to another worthwhile cause within the village, rather than having a cost of franchise based in the bottom of the building, which I don't think anyone particularly would want. So the point of coming to present to you this evening is the fact that it would be very nice to have formal approval behind the application, supporting it, because that obviously carries enormous weight when we get further down the line with the planning application. But also, if you were able to offer your support to the scheme, and then whether or not it would be possible for the application to be put in with your name, put in by the parish council, because the planning fee on this building, based on gross available floor area, would be £3,850, which, quite frankly, is ridiculous considering the purpose and the use that the building is going to be put to. However, with your assistance, you would get a 50% reduction in that figure, which would be £1,925 saved, which is a significant amount of money. If you were able to allow the application to go in your name, it would be very much appreciated. Any questions? I'm happy to answer.
When are you proposing to put the application in?
Probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, that's all right, as long as it's not before the annual meeting in May, because some of us mightn't be here.
Would we need to have a council resolution? Oh, it would have to go on the agenda to be.
Yeah.
So it would be the first one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Renew. So you might have to think.
Whatever process has to take place.
Well, the third Wednesday of
the benefit of having the application put forward in your name is substantial, and so therefore well worth the wait if that was the outcome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just see the nice big function room at the top. Is there a theoretical capacity for that?
I haven't checked with. We haven't even gone down the line of building regs as to what our fire requirements would be numbers wise, but it's tentatively been based on about 80 people standing, maybe 60 people seated, somewhere around that sort of size. It's not a large function room, but it is somewhere where you could easily host a family party. But I envisage it being used more by the clubs themselves for quiz nights and bingo and whatever they want to run out of there, and just gives it a home. There's also various discussions taking place, none of which are resolved, but whether or not the Young Farmers Club rehome to the building when it's complete. There are numerous enquiries from people as to what the building would be used for, so I've got no fears that it will be a well-used building. We just have to decide on what represents best use as and when we're presented with a proposal. Did
the proposers of Schedule A specify whether it's plastic pins and plastic balls or wooden pins and wooden balls?
I think traditionalists would like wooden pins and wooden balls. I can make that specific in the design access statement if you like.
I'll probably run straight to health and safety.
Strengthen the floor.
Yeah.
I mean, could this council sort of propose in principle a letter of support? We can't do anything about finance, but in principle, could we sort of give Peter a letter of support?
I would propose that we do.
I'll second that.
Madam Chairman, most plan applications, we've never done that before, and the ones that have come in, we've told them to go away and bring us a planning application that we can look at. So I don't know. It's you're doing it once, and you just can't make a law for one person, make it for someone else.
So you don't think that you would?
No, because most of our plan applications, we tell people to come for the planning application. You know.
Okay.
They come and call us and show us, and we say yeah, but we've not given a decision on it.
Right.
So,
Yeah, but surely we can send a letter of support to the management committee there to say we support it. We're not saying we're going to support the planning in that. It's in principle. In principle, we support it.
what to the
To the management.
Not to the planning people.
No,
the management committee?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
Yeah,
not to
that's
say
what I'm
more,
saying.
but a letter of support from the parish council.
Not
Yeah.
saying we're going to pay anything or anything for them at the moment.
And
Just to say we support it.
just to be clear, the management committee would pay the planning fee, the 1925, but the application would have to go in the name of the parish council to gain the 50% reduction. We're not asking for any money, we're asking for your name to give us the discount, basically.
Well,
I don't think we can agree that to the next
Yeah,
year.
that's
But in principle, we can give a letter in principle that we support it.
You gave us a letter of support previously for the original
Yeah.
master plan. It wasn't a predetermination of anything. It was
No.
just a general letter of support.
a worthwhile village facility.
Yeah, because it is a community facility.
Yes.
Would you be happy with that, Martin?
Yeah, yeah.
We're not saying that in planning.
So it's just in principle, we've got a proposer and a seconder,
Yeah.
that we just send a letter, in principle, support it.
Yeah.
Alright.
Whilst I'm being recorded and have the opportunity,
They're going to ask for money.
not comment, no. I would just like to thank the current parish council for all their hard work and efforts. It's been a pleasure working with you all. Quite why the need to replace a group of independently minded and independently elected individuals en masse by is beyond me. But anyway, I wish you all the very best of luck in the forthcoming elections and hope to see you all again next time I appear in front of you, which inevitably I will.
Thank you very much.
But in turn, can I say it's been a pleasure to deal with people who actually want to get stuff done and have got an awful lot done. So thanks to you for the village. Thanks.
Right. Thank you. Good night.
Okay. 1549, to receive an update from the Chair of the Housing Committee on affordable housing schemes and to consider any recommendations from the committee.
Yes, Madam Chairman. Well, I'm pleased to report that on Monday the 30th of March, the 106 agreement, which sets out the plan obligations under which Cross Farm can be developed, was signed by the Parish Council, Wedmore District Council and the owners. This is a very important document binding on subsequent owners because it sets out the conditions for building, integration, level of affordable housing, etc. and the community benefit applying to the development. It was a long and complex document, 64 pages, which our Councillor Burden here had been involved with all the details. And so, with your permission, Chairman, I would like to hand over to Richard and let him explain it in more detail to us, because he was the one that was sat there every day going through the paperwork, reading, bringing it to us. So, if you'd like to give us your...
Right, thank you, Martin. Chairman, if I may. I'll try and keep it reasonably brief. You will remember this council voted unanimously to put its own name to the Cross Farm planning application as a way of showing its commitment to the project and to have some influence over the shape and content of the application. It was a decision which has been more than justified by a number of affordable housing units to be built and by the amount of community benefit obtained for the village. Benefits obtained are considerably more than if the negotiations had taken place solely between the landowner stroke developer and Wedmore District Council, e.g. the Holdenhurst application, which the Parish Council successfully opposed. As the applicant, Parish Council became a statutory signatory of the 106 agreement, which ratified the granting of planning permission. And the Parish Council was in a strong negotiating position, as the planning permission could not be granted without its agreement to the terms of the 106. From the negotiations, this council achieved all of the items on its shopping list and more. The owner or his successors in title, i.e. the developer, are bound by the 106 to provide, and here comes the list. The sum of £98,000 for the first school towards the provision of first school education. Parish Council land at Worthington Close, which is about 1.5 acres or 0.6 of a hectare, to be cultivated, planted and grassed to become a public open space for the parish. Within that space, to install an equipped play area to include 6 pieces of equipment and the correct safety surface to a minimum of 400 square metres. The village green public open space at the centre of the development to incorporate the existing oak tree. When completed, the title of this area will be transferred to the Parish Council for the sum of £1. A commuted sum will be paid to the Parish Council, calculated by the Sedgemoor Recreation Officer from a standard formula, to finance the maintenance and upkeep of the public open space as mentioned and the equipped play area for a period of 15 years. And finally, the contribution to the Parish Council's legal costs of negotiating the 106. Total value of the package in terms of community benefit to the parish will exceed £300,000. Without putting our name to the application, we wouldn't have realised anything like that amount. So well done, all of you. I would encourage your convictions and taking the flak over the past year.
Thank you. Most impressive. Yes, I was there for the signing of the 106 and it was quite an event. Yeah. But anyway, thank you very much, Richard, to the lot. Andy, do you want to ask something?
Yeah, I've got some questions which perhaps you'd enlighten us on, because they will answer some of the things that came up at the information meeting as well. So, you mentioned the sum of £300,000, Richard. Can you break that down, please, into the component items?
Okay, well, Wedmore First School is actually £98,056. Because only the county council can work something out that fine, it's not in pence. The provision and installation of 6-piece children's play area with a safety service is somewhere in the region of 80 to 95,000. I think everyone's aware of how much play costs. Cultivating, planting, grassing of Worthington Close land for the public open space and recreation, it's approximately 20,000. The creation of the village green within the development is about 10,000. The commuted sum that comes to the Parish Council, it's got strings attached, of course, for the maintenance and upkeep of all 3 areas for 15 years, that's 80,000 plus. And finally, a contribution of £12,000 to the Parish Council's legal expenses.
Okay. Sorry, could you just headline that again, so I got those numbers right?
Wedmore First School, 98,000. Play area for children and equipment, that's 80 to 95. The cultivation, planting and grassing of the Worthington Close land, that's the Parish Council's land, that's 20,000. The village green site, for want of a better word, between 10,000. The commuted sum for maintenance and upkeep for 15 years, that's 80,000, probably more. And 12,000 to the Parish Council's legal expenses.
Yeah. How does that compare with what we would have expected from other schemes, like Holdenhurst, for example?
Holdenhurst was 32,000 as a recreation contribution.
And why would that be so much lower, given it was half the number of houses in this one?
I don't really know. It could be the developer wanting to make a large profit, or perhaps the landowners were asking a high price for land. Either way, it does show that with the parish council as applicant being part of those negotiations, we were able to negotiate a much better deal for the village.
Okay. Another question that came up quite strongly at the information meeting was, there's 98,000 that you said that's going to the school, but that'll actually be paid to the county council, won't it? So how do we know that's going to the first school? Because they're an academy, they're not linked to county.
Just for the record, academies are independent of the county council, so it was a bone of contention, because I couldn't possibly say that on the record, could I? Initially, the money was, in the wording of the document, was going to be allocated to first schools in the local area, which included Mark and other surrounding villages. The parish argued against this on the grounds that the first school takes its catchment area far wider than the parish and is very successful. After a bit of to and fro, they wouldn't actually say the first school, but they did say that they defined the local area as being Wedmore Parish, which is, I think, good enough, because I don't think there are any other first schools in Wedmore Parish, so it will go to the first school and nowhere else.
I was disappointed that Sexes actually didn't get mentioned, because the children from Wedmore First School will go to Sexes. And I was disappointed that Sexes didn't get a mention.
The county, in its wisdom, decided that Sexes, Fair Lawns, Kings of Wessex were adequately provided with facilities, etc., and didn't need any more money.
Well, I would disagree with that.
Yeah, I can understand you would.
So another issue that's been hot on the agenda at the council and in the public is, how much has our legal fees actually cost the parish council in total? And how much are we going to be left with after the sublimation?
The final total for the legal stuff was £13,600. That includes the one that you've seen tonight. There was an awful lot of legal work involved in arguing and negotiating to get all of the points on our shopping list included in the final signed agreement. There were 9 successive versions of this document drafted before we had a final agreed version that the parish council was happy to sign. After some discussion, that just sounds very moral, doesn't it? After some discussion, the owners have agreed to pay the parish council £12,000 towards their legal cost, and this amount has been invoiced to their solicitors.
So we're left with
£1,600, which is a good result against a gain of £300.
We did put some money. We set aside some money for affordable housing and legal fees, and we discussed it back in July that we would employ the solicitor, which is obviously what we did. And then when we were looking at the budget, we put about £10,000 into a budget for affordable housing, but but we did think it would be around 3,000. That was sort of what we thought back in July, at a meeting in July, because that's what we sort of paid out for solicitors' fees before. Okay. So we thought about, 1,500 to 2,000, but we did actually put 10,000 aside. So we've done pretty well on that.
I did invoice them yesterday.
And lastly, the final point I got was we had flyers around the village talking about rent and social housing. So is there any more news about who the social landlord will be, what the brief will be, and what the level of rent we predict will be?
It will be Astor, I'm pretty certain, which was the parish council's preferred choice. From they're based in Wales, so that's good and local. It is written into that 106 and accepted by ASTA, and I quote from the agreement, the owner shall ensure that the affordable housing units be distributed throughout the development site to achieve a reasonable and practicable level of integration, which is one of our sticking points, if you remember. Also, the rental incomes will be lower than 80% of market rent. I think the person was anonymously fly-posting in the village with those signs who was getting confused between affordable rents, which are set at 80% of market, and target rents, which are social rents, which are fixed by a government formula and are much lower. I'll give you an example for this. For the year we've just come into, 15-16, the social rents for a 2-bed house are £88 a week, and for a 3-bed house they're £98 a week. Now that's about 50 to 60% of market rates. And that's market rates Somerset wide. I won't even think about Wedmore, but so that finishes that one. That nails that one.
Okay, good. So we did get everything.
Yeah, we did. Okay.
Very, very well indeed. Yeah. Absolutely amazing. Thank you, Richard. Right, so while we've got Richard here with us, has anybody else got any more questions? Well, we've answered Andy's question.
I could just add there will be more discussions to come, I'm afraid, which you'll all have to take part in, because you're going to have to meet with the developer who's not confirmed yet, the RSL, because you need, although they've agreed in principle verbally that they will adopt the cascade system of relets when the properties come up for rental again. It's written into the 106 that initial rents will be, you know, the formula for people living in the parish, people, etc. Need to get that agreed for relets. Maybe, I think, would also be a good point was to bring up the other one that was on our wish list, as it were, which to maybe a handful of specialist adaptable homes suitable for older residents of the village who wish to downsize. I mean, I can't think they wouldn't be profitable. It would also meet another need within the village. That's in market housing, not in the affordable.
But Richard, do they not in planning terms have to have everything so it can be for disabled people and that? You've got to have the doors and all that.
Yeah,
you
have to do all that now, and ramps and what have you.
Yeah.
But there's what's required.
I know what you're talking about.
And then you can perhaps go a bit further, thinking in terms of maybe at some point you can shut off the upstairs or whatever. Yeah. So it's worth raising that one, having a chat about it when the time comes. Because remember, we're sort of we've got to stay involved, because by staying involved you'll get some of what you want. Or, no, I'm not going to quote it wrong. Yes, I will. What the hell? You can't always get what you want, but sometimes you get what you need. I couldn't finish that one. I apologise.
You just like it.
Sorry, I really picked it up.
Yeah, okay.
So there's still a lot of work to do.
There's plenty to do, and I mean, there's also the recreation officer at Sedgemoor is going to play quite a large part in our lives, because you wouldn't believe the rules and regulations there are for planting grass.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, that's amazing. You're going to have to decide what pieces of play equipment you want. A lot of stuff to do, but it'll be interesting.
Okay. Well, we already have an expert providing this with you.
So we do.
As long as I can test it, it's fine. Doesn't it say on it for 14-year-old, up to 14-year-old?
That's correct, yes.
Something wrong with whatever it is.
Okay.
Right. So, nothing else? No more questions?
Nope.
Right, so it's 15:10. Issues and questions raised by councillors. So shall we go around the table and see who's got second chair? Anything you want to bring up? Richard?
No.
Mike? Anything? No. Should no, Neil?
No.
William? Andy?
At the last meeting there was a question raised about village halls being used by members of committees without basically without paying their dues. So I've investigated that, as I said I would at the last meeting, with the booking secretaries and committees of each of the village halls, and there is no foundation in that bit of village gossip.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that's good.
Thank you.
Full-time gossip squash, I think.
Okay. Lindsay, have you got anything you want to add?
Yeah, can we just clarify the fly posting on telegraph poles? What's the standard of what's allowed and what's not? I just noticed something was on some part of the car. There's some posters on telegraph poles.
They can stay there for so long.
Well, we made it known in the Isle of Wedmore newsletter that they should be taken down within 7 days of the event.
No, they can stay there for a little while.
After that, they should be reported to Central District Council Enforcement.
Was it 7 days?
Well, I think that's a figure we said. I don't know if that's legal. They seem very reasonable.
How do we measure that from the time we first noticed?
From the event of the day.
I thought it was only 14 days altogether, rather than at stage 1. You're only allowed to put it up 7 days before, and it must be down within 7 days after. It's got to be down within 7 days after.
Yeah, that's what
I think, Madam Chair, we ought to ask about properly clarify that with sexual.
Yeah.
Following that. Is that okay?
Check with the
We
board,
can-
Mr. Chairman.
Madam Chairman, this came under my remit with environment portfolio. You've got an ex-policeman called Nick Garnett who does fly tips, fly posting and what have you. He's pretty hot. He'll be very happy to come out and annoy people by tearing the notices down if you ask him to.
Got to chase this up, Rod.
Nick Garnett.
Yes, yeah, I think I know.
I'll send you his email.
Thank you.
Well, find out what we
Yeah.
have to do first
Okay.
before we get people tearing things down and upsetting everyone. Okay, just find out what it's about. Right, 15:47 we'll leave for a little while. Correspondence. What have you got for correspondence?
Yeah, so just one item halfway down the list there, a letter I had in from a chap called Major Tones, who's recently moved into the village. He's up near Richard's part of the village. He hasn't been here very long, very nice chap. He's taken over a neighbourhood watch scheme, but he and his wife were concerned about parking in Church Street and coming up with some suggestions. The main criticism was the fact that the hazard lines are almost obliterated now up through there, all the white lines in Wedmore into it. And that was the main thing. And he also suggested another parking bay further up in Church Street, but I think that caused problems to the local residents up there. Anyway, I've had a long word with him. He's a very nice chap, and I've had a word with the Infield Highways, and we are on the list now for white lining in Wedmore as soon as they get their truck available. So, and he's the matron's quite happy with the action.
Control my ground control.
And if we can go back to item A, the Somerset Library Service, the revision of routes, we had it was an email thing, wasn't it, to fill out. But basically they're reducing a lot of the routes that the mobile library makes and the number of places it visits when it's in a certain village. And they have decided to miss out the Dandos Lane stop in Wedmore. We've lost one stop. We did try and sort of say that, you know, we'd rather you left it there because it's narrow roads, no pavements, older people. But I don't think
We've got the
that.
car park and one other place.
Yeah,
We've
we
got
have
two
got.
stops now.
There are some, but they are intending to miss out the Dandos Lane. But we did try and say we wanted it kept, but it didn't work. Okay, right. Anything else on correspondence?
No.
Anyone want to ask anything? No. Committee reports. Cemetery committee, anything?
The only thing is that Wedmore do have planned the tree day ceremony planned, so hopefully They said they're going to keep it watered until it's well, like rooted, etc. So hopefully they just keep growing nicely. Other than that, that's the report.
Can I ask through you, Madam Chairman, what did Mr. Adams do? Oh, Mr. Adams, yes, sorry. It was when we did the inspection of the last walk around at the cemetery, Chairman, there was a couple of headstones which were loose and in danger of toppling over. They hadn't had proper anchorage put in when they were put in. Unfortunately, they were so old we couldn't find out the next of kin, so we had to get Mr. Adams in one of them makes to take them away and put proper anchoring points in them. It was a health and safety issue. Jackets.
No, it was Henry Dean, wasn't it? That's what it is. I don't know the date. Yeah, anyway, whatever. No, it's just
in danger, you know, other people are using the cemetery, we've got to get it fixed, we are responsible. If we can't find the next of kin, then we're
Maybe I'll propose to speak to the other side and ask for a check.
no, I don't expect I would.
Is that all right then, Kate? You happy with your answer? Yeah. Facilities, allotments and footpaths.
Yeah, just one thing on allotments, Chairman Rod. He had an email this evening actually from Roger Felton, who's an allotment holder, and he wants to put a small wildlife pond on his allotment to get frogs and toads, to attract frogs and toads there to
eat the slugs.
Eat the slugs.
Do you think it might attract red-breasted newts as well?
I don't know.
Is that permitted to do that?
I don't know.
In all seriousness, Madam Chair, there is a group at the moment who are renovating, restoring old farm ponds to encourage the great-breasted newt and other wildlife in ponds to survive and increase. So I can give you a contact for that if you want, Rod, and they might be interested if we agree to the pond. They might be interested in helping out with it.
So he's suggesting a 4-foot diameter, not a massive thing.
No. Quite shallow.
They're talking about small ponds.
There are a number of farm ponds, certainly at my side of the village. Presumably it's the landowner who's concerned, but do they need to know about these, or do they already know?
It's worth inquiring on them, because at the moment they're centred on Mendip, and whether they would come this
I think at least 4
question.
in the hinterland of the village.
Right, well, I'll let the clerk have the details.
I mean, my question was, can you put a pond on an allotment?
I don't know if it's in our agreements actually.
I think we need to chase that up and see.
I don't know if anyone saw the West England news tonight, but a little lad was drowned, and the family are campaigning, and that is as far as it's got. That all ponds, I know that was a swimming pool pond, that they should be protected. From people accidentally, because this little lad either fell in or it's believed went in to get a toy. But I think that is it sounds ever so comically, but it is a question. If there's a pond which is literally only about 17 inches of water in it or whatever it was, it's just a little thing. I know it came up not that many years ago about somebody wanting to keep bees. And I keep bees, and I just brought up the fact that it's all right if you've got a fair distance of your own around it, but if they do start, if someone gets badly stung or whatever, it's just a thing that I bring up with that. It sounds a nice idea. It's not written in our agreements. I know that for a fact, but it'd be easier to say no, quite honestly. Although I think it's a well-intentioned idea. But I think it would be far easier to say no, it's not permissible on the allotment. It's for growing vegetables. Otherwise, I can see all sorts of things going up there.
Yeah, and also blocking questions just inside the gate anyway, rather than that.
Yes.
So it's scale that.
So there might be drainage issues with
problems
with the drainage.
No, I wouldn't have said so, but it's
it's a safety issue. Young children going up to allotments.
I think we better be concerned.
I would be concerned.
Yeah.
Mannequin.
Finance and general purposes.
Just quite quickly, the book's ready for the audit at the moment. I've got to get them out to the independent auditor at Burnham Sea in the next 2 weeks, and then for the May meeting they will go off to Grant Thornton's to be audited. So everything looks okay. We've got everything put together.
And housing, anything else to do with housing, Martin?
No, I think we've done all
I think
that.
we've done housing.
Waiting for the next meeting, that's all.
Yes, well that will have to be when we've got a new council. Highways, car park and brook. No. Planning?
Meeting
Next Wednesday.
26th.
11 applications.
Up to now.
Well, not yet.
Could you email me?
Oh, yeah, okay.
What should it was, Mark?
22nd.
Got 11 applications.
So far.
Gosh, you do think your time.
Right, reports from representatives on committees. The first one is the Isle of Wedmore News, and apologies for the incorrect date of the PC meeting. Play areas. Anything on play areas?
No.
No. Okay. Salk?
No,
Jessica? Nothing. Wedmore playing field management. I think perhaps we've heard from those. Yeah. Okay. Village halls.
Meetings tomorrow night. Please pay a visit to the village hall and inspect the new toilets, which were really quite good.
Okay.
Wow.
Madam Chair, it was only did last time that the twinning will be added back to this list.
Yes. Rod, twinning.
Yes, I'll make sure it's on the next one.
However, there's nothing to report.
But please make sure it's on for next time because there needs to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, Madam Chair, on village halls, are we still
Yeah.
in there? We had a meeting the other night, and you know, there was, and I couldn't answer the question. Is there a notice board other than the small one by Rutgers Carpet Repairs in Blackford?
No, not a parish council. No, that's the only one we've got.
No, I don't. No, it wasn't. It wasn't too fierce, but somebody did. A couple said they were a bit disappointed that now they see the new notice boards up that Blackford didn't get one. But yeah, I mean that was just an observation that I was asked, and I honestly racked my brains and I said, well, there's one in Stoughton, which is very well used, but they said, you know, and they said, well, why wasn't it in Blackford? There is no notice other than the parish one, which is locked. There's no notice board in Blackford.
No, there's just two notice boards in Blackford.
Right.
One's the parish council and one's the old parish council notice board. We had a new one put up 4 years ago.
Rogers.
There's two notice boards.
I don't know where the other one. Oh, there's two together.
Yeah. I think one was.
They're both lock up though. I've got a window lock on them.
No, I mean.
I thought one of them was unlocked.
Well, I don't know. Each one of them right, which is ours. That's locked. So that's
I thought there was two there.
They're certainly side by side, but I don't know.
There's two there because one of them's got loads of other information put inside of it. And there's one at West Ham as well.
Oh right.
Well, it's a notice board. It's not a parish notice board. It's a notice board.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it'll probably be asked again because, the person was quite persistent. The fact that Stoughton's only got 13 houses. These things happen, and if you don't put it to them, you know.
We replaced what was there originally. That's what they were replacement notice boards.
Yes.
We replaced one at the George. We replaced that thing up by Bamwell's wall there, which has fallen down, and the one at Stoughton, which is a mess. So we haven't bought the new ones. These are replacement ones.
No,
sheer prejudice, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
Sorry, Matt.
Perhaps it needs to go on the agenda for another day. Yeah.
And is there any? Can I ask you, Andrew? Is there any report come through from the police inspection?
There is a report which I passed round. It's now my duty to gain an agreement on how we're going to proceed across the three village
Oh,
halls.
right. No, that's right. You just, yeah. They do it that well.
Mike's going to take us through. We are progressing in Pete.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Perhaps we ought to put this village hall notice board on the agenda for another committee. Parish Council meeting. May, June time. Okay. Right. Oh no, we need to fit this other one in, don't we? Hold on. To consider tenders for the resurfacing of the allotment car park. Right.
I propose we go into camera, please. Press and public to be excluded. That's how you do it, etc.
Second.
Yeah, okay. We've got a proposer and a seconder,